Yo, what's up? We're out here at Big Sur today. Found a decent spot. Drove around a few spots, and this seems to be about the best one with the easiest access. So I'm gonna give it a shot. We're gonna jump in, see what we see.
Alright, so for this dive, my plan was to do some hole hunting, looking in these holes and caves for lingcod using my dive light. But on my way into the water, I got clobbered by a wave and had my dive light in the pocket, my wetsuit pants, and it must have come out somewhere, and I didn't even realize it until I was already in the water and I went to grab it. So that sucks. So it made my hole hunting abilities pretty limited since I couldn't see too far back in the holes without a light. So I had to focus on fish that were out in the open. I was thinking I might still get lucky with a cabezon or a lingcod that might be hanging out on top of a rock, but I didn't see any. The water was certainly colder up here in Big Sur than it is where I usually dive. Yeah, I could feel that instantly. The terrain here is different too. This place was all boulders just piled on top of each other. I barely saw any sand. And it was full of this bull kelp you see swaying back and forth. Back where I usually dive, there isn't too much bull kelp. There's a lot more giant kelp though. But this was new. A lot of different algae and just a very colorful place to dive. So the first fish that I see here is a black perch, and he was a decent size, so I decided to take him. The spear gun I'm using today is a 75 centimeter Picasso Cobra rail. It's probably one of my favorite guns. It's just been a tank for me so far. I love it. I've got a lot of kills with it, and it's just a really light, easy gun to handle. I added a second band onto it to give it some more power. I also added a small reel on it as well. The wetsuit I'm wearing today is a 7mm BlueTuna wetsuit. I love it. It's my favorite wetsuit. It's super comfortable even for being a 7mm. I even wear it back home quite often just because I get cold easy, and I'd rather be warm than cold. You know, you can let a little bit of water into your suit to cool down, but once you get cold, at least for me, it makes it hard to focus on hunting. I've got 22 pounds of lead on my belt, and I've been meaning to cut that down over the past few dives to 20 or maybe even 18. So after this dive, I finally did, and I think it's going to work out for me a lot better this way. I found some stalks of giant kelp clumped up in different areas, and there's quite a bit of life congregated around them. I spotted this kelp bass who swam out of the shadows. I looked at him for a minute, and then he presented me with the perfect shot, so I took him. On this drop, I come down right on top of a kelp rockfish. You know, these rockfish are supposed to be the dumbest, and I can honestly see why. They really don't spook easily, and they're more curious than anything, but they taste delicious in fish tacos. So if I'm around, these kelp rockfish ought to be looking for cover. I'm super bummed because I lost that light. There's so many cool caves and crevices that I could be looking in right now, but all I can do is look inside as much as the natural light will let me, and that's about it. I'm also really bummed because it was the Orca Torch D520, and I love that light. Plus it had the lobster gauge on it. It was perfect for these situations. So if anybody finds a light in Big Sur, Orca Torch D520, let me know. These blue rockfish followed me the whole day. They were super curious and swam right up to me. They were pretty cool to see. Kind of felt like I was rolling with the squad. I also felt like they were rolling with me as like extra protection, almost to like let all the other fish in the reef know, hey, don't mess with me, I'm with him. That's what it felt like. I'm cruising, looking under this boulder, massive boulder, trying to see what I can see with no dive light. It's not much, what I can see, I mean. So I decided to swim over it. And then I saw this decent sized olive rockfish sitting in between those rocks. So I hit him from above, he never even saw me coming. These little blue rockfish were getting really comfortable with me by this point. Maybe a little too comfortable. They actually started biting the end of my spear. Don't worry, little buddy. They'll taste my spear soon enough. But not today. It was cool to hang out under the giant kelp and just be a part of the ecosystem. New guy on the block. Nobody seemed to mind. I come in gentle. I smile, I introduce myself, I bring snacks, and it worked. I gained their trust. But then, right when they least expect it, bam! Trust betrayed. I like fish tacos too much. So on this drop, I come down and I think I spooked this blue rockfish out of a hole. And he was actually a decent size, so I took him. If you don't eat blue rockfish, you're missing out. They are delicious. Earlier I mentioned that kelp rockfish have a reputation for being the dumbest rockfish. But on this drop, I think I found the dumbest one of them all. This fish stared at me, swam up to me, and I literally poked him in the head with my spear. And he didn't even care. He was so dumb that I decided to let him live. I was amazed that he's made it this far in life. I actually had sympathy for this fish. This next fish wasn't quite so lucky. This next fish looked up at me and had a scar on its nose. Looks like it had a pretty rough day already. So I left him alone, but I checked him out for a few seconds. Must be a tough life out here on this reef. Alright, let's get out of here. It's getting late. I got enough fish. And now I gotta think about how I'm gonna make this landing back on the beach.
Well, made it. It was a little sketch coming back in. On the way out, I got clobbered by a wave. It actually took me off that rock right there and tumbled around through some other rock. The only thing I could do was cover my head. But luckily, I didn't hit anything, which is crazy. But the whole time I was out there, I was thinking, man, I gotta come back in at some point. And that's gonna be sketch. But it actually wasn't too bad. I couldn't see the bottom from the top, but when I started diving, it kind of opened up. I got 1, 2, 3, 4 kelp rockfish, 1 black rockfish. I got this nice olive right here. There were more, but I decided I had enough. I had enough fish. That'll make delicious fish tacos. All right, let's go clean these fish out and get out of here.